It's really hard to make public sculpture. Everybody has an opinion on it. It's in the middle of, the site here, it's in the middle of a really busy street, in the middle of high-rise concrete Vancouver, where amidst this landscape of skyscrapers, this moment of humanity, right, in terms of these gestures. But you are now quite experienced in making artwork in the public realm. I had the real sort of privilege and pleasure of watching when I lived in Boston a couple years ago that you created and erected this beautiful monument, The Embrace, to Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King. And, it's really a monument for our time. So, monuments is a whole nother subject matter that's quite thorny, but you are an artist that has really kind of put yourself forward as thinking about art in the public sphere, monuments, what they mean today. I would just love to hear more about how you kind of got to that practice, how you're thinking through as an artist that now is really working a lot in the public where everybody has an opinion. Mm-hmm. And you probably, you can't please everyone.
Well, yeah, that's the lesson of my life, right? Can't please everyone. Can I even please myself? Mm. Very few artists are able to be pleased with everything they do all the time. And I think being an artist is about being comfortable with the process of facing yourself, coming to terms with your limitations, and also challenging yourself to go beyond what you think is possible. And I think there's a lot to be learned in the public sphere from artist practices, which are really engaged with critical thinking, vulnerability, and evolution. And a lot of the work that we see, artwork we see in public space, is advertising, which doesn't really have a reflectiveness or thoughtfulness. It's just telling us what to want, how to look, where to be. And public art is the only public space where we're given an opportunity to contemplate, to revisit things that aren't logical, that kind of break they're like cracks in the matrix. And I went to high school in Washington, D.C., where there are a lot of public monuments. There is the Washington Monument, famously. There's even the U.S. Capitol Building and the Jefferson Memorial and the Lincoln Memorial. And all of those have this imposing, often patriarchal perspective. But there's also the Vietnam War Memorial, which is much more recent, which invites viewers to be in it in a very different way, where you descend into the memorial and read the names of the soldiers who were sacrificed for American values. We feel implicated in it and reflective, and that really had a huge impact on me on how public space could be used. So the Embrace, which is a 24-foot bronze sculpture, which looks and feels very differently from the outside than it does when you're inside it. Because when you walk inside of that sculpture, you're standing in the heart of an embrace. The viewer becomes, just by their positioning, the heart, and their heart is the heartbeat. And I love the idea of being able to make work that implicates myself and the viewer in the work, where you don't know how to feel about it. You're not resolved, but you also know that it's a part of you. And yeah, not everyone's comfortable with that. A lot of people are comfortable with being like, looks like the other thing I saw. That's how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
Makes me feel how that other thing made me feel. But what about the things that you don't know how to feel about? And what I was invited to come to terms with the Embrace, which didn't feel good in the moment when there was all of this kind of media stir, which was very different than the in-person experience, was that, it's not about me. Like the work, who built the pyramids? Who created the Statue of Liberty? Who designed the Washington Monument? Who designed the Lincoln Monument? I don't know. It's here now, and we got to deal with it. And that's what I realized is the power of being a public artist, that you're your larger audience will likely not experience the work in your lifetime.